What are some of the misconceptions that we have? One of the things, and I'll just throw this out and then I'll let you respond. You said the average age of a person who experiences homelessness is 11 years old. And I was just like, whoa, that is nowhere near what I imagined. So anyway, just help us understand maybe some of the misconceptions that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many misconceptions in terms of like what we conceive of when we think of a
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote homeless person. And I throw that statistic not to confuse people, because we don't have a crisis of a bunch of 11-year-olds out on the street, right? But the
Mm.
reason that statistic is the way it is because a lot of people experience homelessness as infants.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
like in terms of spending a night in a shelter, that happens a
Mm.
lot with young families, which
Mm.
then should hopefully cause us to ask a question like, what is it? Why would that happen? And you might
Yeah.
ask questions about why is it so expensive to have a child that people have to choose between, you know, rent and feeding their child, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so that's one kind of misconception that I think helps us to, ask new and different questions, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the biggest misconception and the whole kind of thesis of my book is built around addressing this misconception is that in some way, whether we would articulate it or admit it or not,
Yeah.
we tend to think that people who experience homelessness or poverty in some way deserve it.
Yeah.
That it's the result of choices that were completely within their control,
Yeah.
and that their situation is still completely in their control
Yeah.
to change.
Yeah.
And that myth takes on a lot of different forms, right? Whether it's we're not going to give them money because they're going to use it on drugs.
Right.
It looks like saying, you know what, they need to get a job, they need to stop living off of you know our generosity or the government
Right.
welfare, and just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, that myth just emerges in all of these different ways, but it's built on this premise that homelessness is a choice that people make because of a character or moral defect.